Today we have Amine, co-founder and CEO at Blendeez, and Philippe, co-founder of RocketChart. You both launched your B2B SaaS, and today you're going to show us how you developed it, your strategies to get your first customers, and of course, your best advice. As usual, guys, Amine, Philippe, could you introduce yourself and your startup?
Yes, let's go, Amine.
Philippe, let's go. Oh, okay. So thank you, Philippe. So me, I'm Amine. I'm the CEO of Blendeez. So what is Blendeez specifically? We are an automation platform verticalized on the CRM space. So we allow non-technical user create workflows between their CRM, such as Salesforce, HubSpot, and so on, with their different software to manage the customer journey. For example, automating the invoicing from the CRM, automating the acquisition from the marketing automation tool to the CRM. So this kind of workflow. So before launching Blendeez, I've been working over the last 10 years in business field. And in particular, before starting Blendeez, I was working within Salesforce as a sales account executive. Then I moved into a manager role. So I was managing a team of 20 sales reps. And I met Jean-Philippe Mfouilou, who is my co-founder, so a CTO, within Entrepreneur First. So it's a structure that helps to start a business based in Station F. So that's in a nutshell who I am and what Blendeez does.
Yes, and so for myself, my name is Philippe Vanderstigel. I'm 28. I'm the co-founder of RocketChart. We are a fully bootstrapped business. It means the only cash we have is coming from our customers paying for our solution. We don't plan to raise any funds. To be short, RocketChart is a simple to use cash flow management software for startups. Basically, we want to replace the boring Excel or Google Sheet you are all using to manage your company's finances. Basically, this is it.
All right, thank you, guys. And how did you get this idea of SaaS?
Let's go, Amine.
Yeah, so for my side, so it's very, very simple. When I was working within Salesforce, actually, I saw in the market that automation and integration in particular was an issue for mid-sized companies, because for big accounts, enterprise accounts, you had the opportunity to use very, very expensive and technical solution to manage the integration issue. And at the opposite, when you are a freelance or when you are a small companies with no strong or complex business logic, you can use Zapier or you can use like kind of automation tools already existing in the market. But right behind those two space, for let's say a small PME, mid-sized companies in France that have like 10 or 15 sales guys with different IT systems and so on, the integration is still an issue, and they have like to go and invest with a consulting firm to solve this issue. So that's actually the kind of insight I had from the market when I was working within Salesforce. Then when I moved into Entrepreneur First, my co-founder and I decided to work on API. We didn't have this first idea. We just say, okay, look, API is trending. There is plenty of APIs. Everyone is speaking about API. So let's dig up a bit there in order to see what are the kind of opportunities we can identify. So we did customer development to test some ideas around the APIs. We started, and I can go into the details, we started with API/cybersecurity, because when actually you export an API, it can be an open door for your information system. And so basically you can have hackers that can do some reverse engineering to get your software and so on. Through the customer development, this idea through the customer development, we identified that it was not very, very, very strong enough in order to transform and get some customers. Then we moved into API/mobility. So there is a huge market, there is a huge opportunity. So mobility in particular is mobility as a service. You can think as a Uber, who wants to give you through the app the possibility to get a taxi, then to get a scooter, then to get a train and so on. So to have this one for all mobility service, you need a lot of integration. So it was a good market, it was a good opportunity, but in France in particular, if you want to work in this space, you have to work heavily with government agencies, because most of the infrastructure like SNCF and so on hold everything related to those businesses. And then through the customer development, actually, the insight that I get when I was in Salesforce came back actually, and a lot of CTOs, information technology officer and so on that we discussed with described the integration as an issue. And so we said, okay, look, I had this insight when I was working within Salesforce. Through the customer development, we identified that it is a problem there. So we might dig up a bit and see if there is an opportunity. And that's the way we created Blendeez. Maybe Philippe, you can share your starting point.
Yeah, your journey is interesting, you know, interesting. So for RocketChart, basically it during summer 2019, so 2 years ago, I saw my dad using an Excel spreadsheet to manage his cash flow, because he created a company 10 years ago in the construction sector, and he spent a complete afternoon on his spreadsheet, exporting his bank transactions from his different banks, importing them in Excel, categorizing them, and so on and so on, to map the budget versus reality on his spreadsheet. And it was so laborious and prone to error. And I identified the problem this way, but I needed to validate if other business funders were struggling to manage their cash flow, because it was a big hypothesis. Maybe only my father was struggling to do this. So I made a fake screenshot of a fake interface in like 3 hours. And I asked myself, okay, now how should I challenge my hypothesis? So I posted it on 2 Facebook groups full of business funders. Maybe some of you are in those groups. I post a message like, hey, we are building this tool. It does X, Y, and Z. I'm curious to know if it might be useful for some of you. And actually, it was a blast. Like, I had so many answers and direct messages and reactions. People wanted to test the product, even though we didn't have it. So this was the moment I knew I had something. It was the moment my 2 tech co-founders, Eli and Mark, joined me on the project. And to better know what to build, I simply discussed with all those potential users who commented on the Facebook post. And I had more than 300 business funders to interact with. So it was way enough to understand the job to be done, the solutions currently used, and the limits of these solutions. So this is how RocketChart started.
All right, that's really interesting. So you directly asked your market, and then how did you develop it? I mean, this question is for you. Like the first time we met, you told me about 2 different types of SaaS. Could you explain us your vision?
Yeah. So, and this is a very interesting question. So basically, this is what I think based on my experience within Blendeez, but also through Salesforce experience and the ecosystem and the founder that I met. So for me, there is 2 kinds of SaaS that you can build. Either it's a very, very functional SaaS, where actually you have a very, very simple problem that you want to solve, and that technology can solve through this simple assumption. Or you have a technology that is necessary to solve this problem. So it's not anymore a functional software that you're going to build, rather a software that needs a bit of R&D in order to be able to solve the problem in the right way. Specifically for Blendeez, we are not at the beginning. We are not a functional software. Why? Because the integration issue, it's a technical issue. It's about backend systems. So basically, connecting APIs is okay. What does this API is saying? What does the other one is saying? And how actually I can make sure that my tool, from a backend perspective, can connect those tools and operate some actions, some tasks, and so on. So the core of the platform is about, okay, what is in the engine actually. While for other SaaS software, such as RocketChart, and I will let
Philippe explain.
I will let my sorry.
Philippe explain. No?
I was trying to find a nickname. That's why. But anyway, so Philippe, I will let Philippe share his story about the SaaS he is building. But from my point of view, software such as RocketChart are more functional because they have a simple problem that they try to solve, and basically you can have some tech, but you do not need to heavily invest a lot of time on the R&D piece in order to have a kind of an MVP or a reliable project. So that's what I think. And then regarding Blendeez, so what we did is to find customers that are ready to pay, not like a subscription, but the development of our project. So we signed 5 POCs with customers saying, okay, look, you have this issue, you're not satisfied with Zapier, you're not satisfied with what exists in the market, so let's build it together and let's have a success fees related to the project that we are building that will fit your business need, and then you will have a subscription. So that's the way actually we worked on the project to make sure that what we build is totally different or kind of answer a business need, and not like, okay, we did a very, very interesting engine from a backend, but no one wants to buy it because there is no difference versus Zapier or whatever. So that's the way we did it in order to gain the first traction and build the project in line with the market needs.
Yeah, really interesting. I think that whether it is a functional or more R&D product, you have to like co-build the product. You have no choice, I think. So regarding RocketChart, the fact is we interviewed business founders to understand the step-by-step process of cash flow management in order to get the overview of the process. Yes, there were some competitors, but we wanted to understand the problems and how they are doing it right now. So we had many problems to tackle in the whole process, but we couldn't deal with everything. We had to choose some battles. So once we had this overview, which was actually pretty complex, we decided to focus first on the first thing. For example, for us, it was simplifying the process of getting your bank transactions categorized properly. That was the first thing we did with RocketChart. And we chose this because it was the beginning of the process in cash flow management. It was the first part of the process, getting the reality of your cash flow. So we built the MVP for this. A user can connect his bank account, create his own categories, classify transactions, and our algorithm will learn and automatically categorize the next transactions. And I showed this to some business founders we interviewed to gather feedback. So first, we wanted to get the whole process. Then we focused on one single thing to start from something, and because you can't build the whole process, otherwise you will go in the wrong way for sure. So focus on one problem to solve, and then challenge the MVP you just made. So I was so ashamed of the product actually because it was so incomplete and so small regarding the whole process. But to me, it wasn't doing anything useful. But we had to know what to build next to deliver more value. So for doing this, I sat next to some beta testers actually in coffees. It was like the previous business founders I interviewed, and I just watched them using the product. And that was the best thing I ever did. I just listen and take notes. And actually, your early users will draw the line of your product. They will define your product. And for example, we kept having the same feedback. They wanted to create a budget per categories and compare the reality versus the budget. So we simply build this, and so on and so on. And we developed what our early users asked us to do until stickiness started to appear. People were more and more active on the product and were coming back on the product. That was the moment we started to ask them to pay for the product. Until we had stickiness, we knew we had something, and so we asked them we charged them for using the product. So the key in our journey was to stay close to our first customers, who became our first paying customers then, and we didn't build RocketChart. Our early users actually did build RocketChart. So even though it was functional, we also co-built the product because you need to know if you're going in the right direction. The same thing as Amine just explained. He needed to. It means nothing like to build something on your garage and then launch it. Nothing will happen. You have to challenge the product you're building and listen to your early users.
Yes, what you say is really interesting because we have some people, they didn't co-build their SaaS and they are at the very beginning of the development of their community. So would you advise them to like make a step back, co-build, and then develop the community?
From my side, I would say that if, for example, you have an idea where it's not there is no technical challenge. Basically, connecting APIs at scale is challenging because you need to think about the architecture. You need to think about, okay, how you're going to operate and make sure that the microservices is working the right way and so on, because you build the tech. If you do not have those issues, I think, and this is my opinion, and maybe I'm wrong, but you should just go to see your users and even have nothing, but just listen to their problems and see what does it mean from a functional perspective that you can build actually to make sure that your product is answering a real problem. If you do not find users that actually want to spend some time with you, it means that there is no problem. And maybe it's a bit harsh, but it's the best way to make sure that there is a problem in the fields or in the kind of SaaS that you're trying to build. I think this is a good trigger for you to invest time then to build the project, because building a project is very, very intensive from a time. It's very time consuming. So you need to make sure that you put the effort in the right direction. And then, according to what Philippe was saying, for sure you can choose, okay, what are the features that I should select or what are the features that I should develop. But before that, you need to make sure that you speak with some guys that have the problem, and to do that, you need actually to start question those guys. So for us, it was customer development. We didn't build anything, but we were saying to the guys, look, what are your problems and how we can solve it. And then we managed to convert this kind of issue within a POX. And we managed to sell it for 10K, 15K, and so on, in order to even start having some employees and so on. So what I mean here is it's critical to have this part of the process, which is, okay, just understanding your potential customers with their problems, and then to find the solution. Sometimes it's not a tech solution that fits their problems. It can be very frustrating because sometimes you say, okay, I want to build a SaaS or I want to build a technology. But sometimes, and this is based on the first interviews we've done, we identified that, for example, some companies were not very well organized, and the way they can fix the problems that they were sharing with us was just an organization, for example, an organization solution, such as having a better manager or having a better governance in the way they set up the processes and so on. So that's what I can say related to the fact that you go to see those first customers.
Okay, can you repeat just please what was the question?
Yes, yeah. Well, here we have some people. They are at the moment developing their SaaS B2B, but they didn't co-build it, so they don't really have any feedback from the users they want to have. Would you recommend them to make a step back, co-build the SaaS, and then start to develop the community?
Okay. So if they already have a community, then you have your first users to start co-building your SaaS. So this is pretty good. But my opinion is you should always first co-build the product like with around 10 or 20 users and have a good retention, as I explained before, like stickiness, and then develop the community, then focus on the community. And the magical thing actually is the first members of your community will be your early users. So it will be easier to start the community. I think that building a community is a way like to get traction and to focus on acquisition. But before investing in acquisition, you need retention, because having a customer is useless unless it stays with you for the long run. Yes, this is so having a customer is useless unless it stays with you for the long run. So focus on retention and then acquisition. And acquisition maybe will be building your community and have a group of early users that will help you like to develop your branding and to spread the word about your product. So my advice would be like, yes, step back and focus to co-build the product. Yes.
I totally agree with Philippe, and what you can think is, okay, when you try to solve an issue or problem, basically what you're trying to achieve is to help people. And if you help people, they will give you back for sure something. And it's not only about money. It can be related, for example, testimony. It can be related to, and if you can see for us, our first customers in our YouTube chain, they accepted to have a testimony. So we did a video with them. They explained what we've done and so on. So if those guys, like are ready to make it, is just one of the reasons is because of the fact that we really solved an issue for them. So customer success actually, and this is kind of something we do not put when you have a project. Do not think about the project. Really put about the customer pain and the customer value that you can, the value you can generate for your customer, and then those guys will be your best ambassador, better than your product. For us, for example, everything that we try to do is not to advertise on the product, is to put our customer first and to demonstrate that actually it brings value for them, because it's the best marketing when actually a customer is speaking about your product than you, who is trying to say, okay, my product is doing that versus that in competitors and so on. So that's very critical actually, to have those first 10 users that you know that they're going to stay for the long run.
Yeah.
Yes, this is a great transition for the acquisition. But I just have a question before talking about acquisition, about the pricing strategy. You told us like you starting by just solving problems for free. And what has been your pricing strategy? Like you're starting for free, and how did you manage the hub of the price of your SaaS?
So for us, for Blendeez, we didn't do it for free. What we've done at the beginning, we said to the guys, look, you have this issue. This issue is having those impacts in your P&L. So basically a cost issue or revenue issue. Let's say, for example, you do not automate the CRM to invoicing processes. It means that you have 3 days each month in order to generate those invoices. And this is, let's say, 400, 300 per day. So on the long run is 14K per year. Are you ready to pay those 14K if we manage to solve your issue? The customer say, okay, probably yes. So we set up a POC saying, okay, we're going to try to solve this issue by a technology. If we manage to make it, you will have to pay a 14K or 16K, depending on the business case. So that's the way actually we constructed the first contract with our customers. And then we shift into a SaaS subscription model, understanding that we have an opportunity actually to price it without having the success fees, because people were ready to pay based on the fact that there is a maintenance and there is like kind of, like an API does not stay the same because each software vendors update his APIs and so on. So basically all the maintenance, the support, the customer success related to this integration is even more important than just, okay, we just automated or we just connected two tools. because of the fact that what does the user want is to make sure that the process is working, no matter if it is in 6 months, 3 months, and wants to be able actually to change it. So that's the way we worked on the pricing, and then how we identified the right level of pricing. So we did a market study last year, just 6 months after creating the company. And so we asked the different prospects. So not only guys that were in our platform, but also people that can be potential customers, asking them, okay, how much are you ready to pay to solve this issue? As simple as that. And they were saying, okay, for me it's 100, for me it's 200. Okay, why? And we try to understand what was the perception of the price for them related to the issue. And we get that some companies were ready to pay 600 per month to solve all those issues, while others were ready to pay 2,400 and so on. So that's the way actually we build the pricing, by asking, okay, potential customers, what is the perception they have about the project and about the resolution of the problem.
Interesting. I think that charging your users as fast as possible is the best way to validate your business, actually. The way Amine did it is simply awesome. Like, make your early users pay for the problem you are going to solve. It's the best way, like, to start the business, and also to have valuable feedback, because they already pay for the services of the solution, so they will give you more valuable feedbacks. But regarding us, actually, the pricing will depend on the niche you target, and because we targeted a specific niche at the beginning, it was actually early stage startup founders, we couldn't charge that much. Like, so to set the pricing, we simply tested with our early users, and we started to ask them, like, okay, now we will charge you 100 euros per month to use RocketChart. And we had a lot of friction because the value they perceived from RocketChart at that time didn't worth the 100 bills per month. And then we tried like 50 euros per month, and that was way better. So we started with this pricing for the first year because it was like a no-brainer. But actually, people like were paying us, so it was a way to validate really the problem we were solving. And regarding pricing, it's very important because it can kill your business, really. So I have 3 advices I can give you about pricing. The first one is, it's the common mistake SaaS founders do at the beginning is to underprice their product. And I think personally that we underprice our product, RocketChart. It's worth way more, like 2 times more, I think. So don't hesitate to multiply like your initial pricing you had in mind by 3 or 4, because it's easier like then to go down than to go up. So start high, and don't underestimate the value you are offering. Secondly, it's something we have learned along the way. It's better to have 50 customers paying 200 euros per month rather than 200 customers paying 50 euros per month. Because for the same monthly recurring revenue, you will deal with less customer support, and customer will perceive more value for your product, resulting, as I said before, in more valuable feedback. So it's just keep this in mind, because like it's very important. And actually, we are in the process of moving in the market, because it's not like viable in the long run to pay like 50 euros per month customers for us. And thirdly, the way you price your offer can change your business, because depending on your pricing, you will attract different kind of customers with different problems to solve and different needs. So your product and your company will change in the completely different way. And as I said, this is exactly why we are actually reviewing our pricing strategy and our positioning in the market. And I think the other part of the question is like, how do you I don't remember. There is two questions now. I don't remember.
Yeah, that was about the pricing. How do you up the price without choking the community?
Yeah, okay. So as we are in the process, to be fully transparent, we will simply ask our current customers if they want to support us with a new pricing model. They will simply have the choice like to pay more or to stay at the actual pricing. Choice is in their hands. We believe that they have trusted us at the beginning, so we can't make them pay more if they don't want to. That's our like ethical value, but it's up to us.
All right, so basically it's the moment to pay for RocketChart. It's not that expensive at the moment, but after it's going to be more expensive.
So go now.
All right, thank you, guys. Just about the acquisition, about the growth, do you use like more traditional way to generate new lead, like ads, and how do you use SEO also?
So for us, so structure in terms of structure, it depends of the market. So basically, if you have a market that invests a lot in SEO, you should work on this aspect because it's something that is an investment. You're not going to see the value at the beginning, but on the long run, is critical for your success. If you have a market where there is a lot of advertisement and so on, so on Facebook, on Google's, you need to think about a way to disrupt. It can be through SEO if the competitors are not working on the SEO, but it can be with other strategy of growth and so on. And this is very, very specific to the market that you're addressing. So for me, there is no kind of clear answer saying, okay, that's the secret sauce to make sure that you can get a strong acquisition. But still, there is something that for sure can help you to build actually your brand and make sure that you can get some traffic and so on, is the SEO. So if there is something that for sure is something where you're going to invest and where you're going to see a value, is SEO. But still, you need to identify what is the right persona for your market and for your content that you're going to generate. Because what you want is not just generate traffic on your website, but make sure that the guys who are coming in your website are in line with what you are selling. Let's say if you sell Blendeez, what we sell is automation. We are interested in small and mid-sized companies or scale up. So basically, for those businesses, we need to identify what is the right persona. For example, if you take a PME Française, the guy that is managing, the business is also the guy who is going probably to use the software. So we need to target those guys. What are their business needs? What are their challenges? What kind of format they are reading? Is it blogs? Is it on Twitter? Is it on LinkedIn? Is it on Google? So whatever. But still, you need to have a clear understanding of who is the persona, and then generate the content related to this persona to gain traffic on for these kind of guys that is going to match your product or value proposition. And then once you started this work, you will be able to work on advertisement and try to find out kind of strong acquisition, I would say, strategy. And I give you here an example that is relevant, that is not relevant for us, but that is relevant, for example, for other businesses such as signature, e-signature, or like Dropbox. So one of the way for Dropbox to get a lot of customers was, for example, for Dropbox to do some referral, and it was one of the strong, like a very strong business case for them to gain a lot of users. If you take e-signature, DocuSign, for example, decided to put on each paper that was signed the signature of DocuSign saying it was signed by DocuSign, no matter the paper, in order to make sure that the guy that is not using, for example, the DocuSign software can see, okay, I want to have an electronic signature. I can use DocuSign because I already use it, even if I do not have the software. So, and this, for example, for Blendeez does not make sense. Maybe the referral can be interesting, okay, but for the other side, which is okay, making sure that there is on each paper that we sign, signed by Blendeez, or maybe we can imagine automated by Blendeez, but it's not going to be as relevant as for signature. So what is critical is, okay, knowing your content, knowing the persona, trying to gain those first customers, and then think about, okay, what is the best, I would say, growth hacking strategy, depending on your project, depending on your market, in order to be able to scale very fast with those things that are very specific for your market.
Yeah, I think distribution is key. And as Amine just explained, like once your targeted customer is defined, like the people you are targeting, and I don't mean like a niche, a targeted customer is not like French SMBs. It's way more precise than this. So once you have your targeted customers, like start testing diverse distribution channels, compare them, and then double down on the one who works the best. And never overlook the distribution of your product, because it is key. If you have a great product, but no one hear about it, it's worth nothing. Regarding RocketChart, at first we relied on word of mouth and started to create SEO articles, because we didn't have a lot of cash. So SEO is actually free, it's just time, but it's a long-term goal. So you better start right now if you want to focus on SEO. And our strategy was just to focus first at the very bottom of the funnel, marketing. You know, it is where people are actively looking for a solution, because it's easier like to get customers at this stage. And once we had a bit of cash, thanks to our customers, we tested paid ads, and it works like pretty well. So we kept a budget for Google Ads. We also tried like cold outreach through LinkedIn and email, but it didn't work that much for us. So we just stopped. And I did some webinars also about cash flow management, and it works a bit. So I will try to focus more on this in the second after September. Sorry. And I think another way to distribute your product is like to identify key strategic partners, to make partnership, and to be visible and to be recommended.
All right.
That's
Thank
totally
you very
true.
much.
That's totally true, and part of the distribution strategy of Blendeez is to work with partners. So basically, for the CRM, the core CRM, so you have Salesforce, you have HubSpot, you have Zendesk, Zoho, and so on. And for all the software ecosystem, they are partners that can set up the Salesforce solution. So they are consultant that knows very well the Salesforce solution or the HubSpot solution, but they are not very strong in the integration. Let's say, for example, you take HubSpot, you have a lot of agencies that are very good at building the SEO strategy and so on, because HubSpot was originally a marketing automation software, but they are not very strong in, for example, connecting the CRM piece of HubSpot with legacy systems or with strong or heavy IT backend. And so it's the place where Blendeez can interfere, and where those guys can prescribe the solution Blendeez for those guys, saying, okay, look, you have the issue of integrating, let's say, HubSpot with SAP or HubSpot with QuickBooks. Let's use Blendeez because they already have the connectors, they already have the business logic, and they can manage better the process, and it's going to be less expensive. So very true. I didn't think about it, about the relationship and the relationship that you build with your partners. But yeah, it's true that it can be a way in terms of strategy of distribution that can help you scale to get your first customers.
Yeah.
All right. Just before going into the Q&A session, to conclude, could you give us your main tips? You gave us many tips today, but could you like resume your 5 main tips or your main tips?
So for me, the first one is speak with your customer as fast as you can. That's something that is critical for your success, and try to build something with them. I would say the second tips that I can share is be very, very specific about everything you do at the beginning, and try to define very, very, very narrow objectives in order to make sure that you can deliver. Because most of the time, people think about the vision. Oh yeah, I'm going to transform this industry. I'm going to do whatever. But the problem is that this is too broad, and it's very difficult to align and to make sure that you are focusing on the right thing. So rather than you need to be ambitious, and that's good, but you need also to be very operational and be very specific in the way you solve the issue. So basically, it can be an issue about your project, it can be an issue about your acquisition, no matter. But try to be very, very specific in the way you define the problem in order to make sure that you find the right answer. Let's say, okay, as Philippe was saying, okay, I'm targeting the SMEs. The SMEs is too broad because, like, okay, there is in France there is 99 companies that have employees between 20 and 1,000. So 99 companies that you want to focus on. It's like very, very ambitious. But then you can deep dive in those 99,000 customers, saying, okay, potential customers, saying, okay, there are some guys in some industries that might have the same kind of issue. There are some guys that have the same level of employees that might have the same kind of issues, and so on and so on. And then step by step, you will be able actually to narrow down and at the end to define specifically the right way to answer and to get your first customers, for example, or to write the right content for those guys, or to go into the right direction. So that's the two tips that I would say the two main tips that I can share with you, and that is based on our experience.
For me, I think, as we already explained, like first one is to validate your idea before making any plan, because having such features, choosing your company name and so on is completely useless if you have a shitty idea. So first, validate your idea. Then second advice is to launch quick, iterate on your product, and get paid fast. It's the best way, like to make your business viable. And then the third one is to solve a very, very specific problem for a very, very specific niche. You can do everything for everyone, so choose a single problem to solve and be the best, for solving this problem. It will be a differentiator from like competitors, and a very specific persona will love you for being what you are. For example, it's easier to be the best cash flow management software for French digital agencies under 20 employees rather than a cash flow management software for SMBs in general. So be more precise about your targeted customers. Then, as I explained before, like distribution is key. A good team with a great product is useless without users or customers. Don't think like that. Having a great product is the end of the journey. How you will distribute your product is the key for your business. And the last tip is, like enjoy the journey. It will be fun, and you will learn so much.
Thank you very much. So we have 10 or 15 minutes left. If you guys have any question, I know Timothée, maybe you might have some question. Or anyone else.
Yes.
Also.
Yes, I have a question. How to obtain the best answer from your customer when you have to make an interview and obtain some feedbacks from your customer. How to obtain the great feedbacks, and not just it's amazing, it's a good product, and let's go.
I think that before having a product, the goal is to understand the problem.
Yes, yeah.
They want to solve. So ask the question like, why are you doing this? Why is it important for you that you have to solve this problem? Why is it like you're important deep inside? And just ask why each time, to deep dive like in the core problem they're speaking about. So I think it's like dive with the why process, like always ask why is a great way like to understand and to get the best of your customer interview, I think.
Okay.
And also you have maybe to, I'm just looking for, because for a previous project, I create an interview template. Yes. So the goal was to like identify the job to be done. So it's for your customer, like, and for your target, and its motivation from a functional perspective. Like, so as I explained, like why it is important for you to create to solve this problem, in what way it is useful, why is it important, what is the main goal you're trying to achieve, what positive consequences. Like asking such question is a way to have the big picture, I think, about the problem. And then you should like deep dive in the process of solving this problem. How today they are solving this issue. What is the solutions they are using? What are the limits of this solution? What is the positive? What is good in such solutions? So I think it's a good way like to manage to get valuable feedback for your interview, I think. But all of this is like before having a product, you know, because first you have to understand the problem.
Yes, thanks a lot.
If you want, Timothy, I can send you
the template.
Yeah, or I will send it to Adrien, and he will follow you.
Yes, I can send it after to everyone.
Okay, yeah. Thanks, big thanks.
Is there any other question, or maybe you want to add something about this?
No, what I can add on this topic is, for me, you will have guys that will be relevant and some guys that are irrelevant for the objective that you set up. So before launching your customer development or like your acquisition or whatever related to gaining some feedback, you will have some guys who will say, oh yeah, wonderful, very interesting, I'm ready to pay. And then this guy will disappear. Yeah. And you will have some guys who will be very, very helpful for build your project. You will have some guys who are just curious. You can even have the competition that can be interested in your software. So basically, you just need to be clear about your objective. And then out of this objective, you will get a way for you to select who are the guys that are valuable for this objective and who are the guys that are not valuable for this objective. So.
Yeah, completely. Is there any question? What are you working on?
Yes, if someone has a project or just an idea, feel free to open the mic and share it.
Yes, we can challenge it with you if you want. Like Emma Carenza, what is the problem you want to solve? If you are here.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm sorry, I don't have yet a project defined, but it's one of my intention to have a solution, a technological solution. So that's why I joined this webinar. It was very interesting, and thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. And like Romaric, for example, also. Are you working on the project?
Yeah. Are you listening to me, guys? Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you, yeah.
Okay. I'm working on the startup trying to tackle the problem of postal addresses. As you know, there are like 4 billion people who don't have a postal address, like for example, the Station F, 13 Paris, Alan Turing. So we are enabling people. I'm in Dakar right now in Senegal, but we are starting here and we are trying to enable everyone here to have an address.
Great.
Just, yeah.
All right.
Yes, that's it. To do everything you can do with an address in France, for example, and that's it. Yeah.
Interesting. So, sorry, I have to go. Okay, it's interesting, but the fact, like, how do you know that there is people interested in solving such problem? Or Mike, how did you?
I'm a Cameroonian myself. I did have the problem.
Okay.
When you are moving in Cameroon in 2021, when you want to meet someone, it's gonna say, meet me near this bar, or meet me near this high tower, meet me near, etc. You don't have a simple way to say to him, I'm at this place, which can be located using, for example, like Google Maps, etc. So another way to pitch is that to say that we are putting all the houses on Google Maps. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Experiencing the problem yourself is the best way, like, to understand the problem actually.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, we have developed an app. The problem we had is it was too complex for our customers because we were tech savvy, so we didn't we missed the problem was for tech savvy people. So we had to redo it in order to be able to make it usable by less tech savvy people.
Okay.
So we have done it, and right now we are trying to distribute it.
Perfectly clear. Okay, great.
And I also see Edson, who is often in the Show Me How To. Edson, could you share your ID or if you have a project?
Hello, everyone. My project is to help gamers and tech-savvy people to easily find gaming setups. Means for example, in Instagram, some people are publishing pictures, and often you have to ask them in the commentary, what is the name of the screen, what is the chair, what is the keyboard, every time. So I want to make a solution to easily help people outpass this.
Okay, and why gamers? Yeah, because you mentioned gamers as a target potential users. Why gamers in particular?
Because first I'm a gamer.
Yeah.
And I've found this kind of problem every time. For example, I really like some things in the publication, but every time I have to dig up and find everywhere what is this, and it frustrates me. So I want to help other people, and there is a lot of gamers nowadays. It's a big market, even in China, in USA, in Europe. Everybody is gaming. So this is my problem and my solution.
Interesting. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
I think distribution will not be hard for you because I think there is like a lot of Facebook groups or like, you know, forum or like on a Reddit, etc.
Exactly.
So I think your ideal customers are just right there waiting for your solution. So go for it.
Okay, thank you.